What's up, my fellow adult collectors, and welcome to SeViLion Collectibles.
Disclaimer, the voiceover for this video was created using AI software, but it is still mimicking my own voice. It's hard to believe that the year is currently 2024, and yet I'm about to be discussing brand new action figures based on Batman Forever, a film that will be 30 years old next year, but it's still one of my favorites. As the video's title and thumbnail suggests, I do have all 4 figures from the wave. I was lucky enough to stumble upon them at my local Walmart recently and snatched them all up in one fell swoop. First up on the spinner are Batman, as performed by Val Kilmer, and Robin, as performed by Chris O'Donnell. Then, next up, I have the villains of the film. Two-Face, as performed by Tommy Lee Jones, and the Riddler, as performed by Jim Carrey. Give me just a minute to get them out of their boxes. Now that I've gotten them all out of their plastic prisons, I'm going to give them all another round on the spinner, so that we can really get a good look at the entirety of the figures. Starting, of course, once again with Batman and Robin, followed by Two-Face and Riddler. Right out of the gate, I can assure you that the Val Kilmer Batman is really just a slight repaint of the one from last year's big 6-pack of movie figures. The gloves, boots, and cowl are just colored black now, but the rest of the figure remains the same. I will come back to the other figures later, but for now, here is a nice, slow, close up and down look at Batman. It is indeed a really nice sculpt. If you've never seen the 6-pack Kilmer in person, pictures of this one may not quite do it justice. Now, looking at the back though, I'll do one round with the cape moved out of the way, and now another with the cape draped down as it should be. It's too bad they didn't take this opportunity to put in a wired cape, instead of the same regular cloth one from before. As I expressed on my Adam West Batman video, I typically prefer sculpted capes for the sake of consistency of appearance in the figure, but I'll gladly sacrifice that idea for a wired cape. Capes that are thin cloth like this just don't do it for me. I do want to point something out real quick when it comes to the color scheme on this figure. Of course, I can't say this for sure, but it seems like McFarlane was looking to recreate the look of this old Kenner figure from the original 2-pack. I could be wrong, but the boots and gloves being so much darker than the rest of the suit is definitely very reminiscent of it. Next, I want to do some close-up images of the head sculpt. Not even going to try to hide it. I totally stole this layout design from Brad, the DC Universe Geek. I can definitely see Val Kilmer's likeness in the sculpt. Now, here's a quick look at the accessories. The trading card, extra hands for gripping, 2 batarangs, and the grappling hook. They do look great when in use and can work with some awesome poses. I did try my balance test, but it failed to stay up without the help of the displaced end. I'm pretty sure the cape is to blame because I couldn't get it to offset the weight properly. Finally, I just want to show a couple of comparisons, starting with the first Val Kilmer figure from the 6-pack. I really wish that they would have just made this release the Panther suit instead. Also, here's the Keaton figure that was with the Batmobile and George Clooney from the Batman and Robin wave. Now, I'm going to move on to Robin with the same close, nice and slow, up and down look at both the front and the back. First with the cape out of the way, and then with the cape draped down. Unlike Batman, Robin has a wired cape and it is phenomenal. Not only is it a wired cape, it is double layered. This helps achieve the yellow inside color and the black outside. With the dual layers, it's more opaque than Batman's cape as well. It just looks and feels much nicer than the thinner single layer fabric. The wires feel pretty sturdy as well. I'm not particularly worried about them breaking over time or anything like that. With Batman and Robin side by side, you can see a clear difference between the quality levels. Whatever steps are necessary going forward, I really hope we get wired capes like Robin's more often than not. Now, here's a quick close-up on Robin's head sculpt. Once again, there's definitely a strong sense of likeness with Chris O'Donnell. For accessories, he really only has some extra hands, and of course, his trading card. Robin poses really well, and can indeed pass the balance test without the help of the displaced end. Lastly, I just want to do a couple of quick comparisons with starting with last year's counterpart from the Batman and Robin wave. The second comparison is the comic book-inspired version of the 90s, Tim Drake Robin, because this was the costume that inspired the movie suit. Now, onto the villains, starting with Two-Face. Once again, giving you guys a nice, slow, up and down look at both the front and back of the figure. As far as the appearance goes, this is pretty much as accurate as it gets. Much like the Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy from last year's Batman and Robin wave, I really can't imagine this figure being any better for the price point. The general nature of figures like Two-Face, who are dressed in a suit and tie does somewhat restrict the articulation, but you can still get him in some decent poses. I do like that his right hand has the coin flip sculpted onto it like this. The face sculpt is immaculate, especially on the scarred side. Pretty much straight out of the movie. For accessories, though, Two-Face is a bit limited. Really only including the basic card, displaced and a couple of extra hands. The best comparison I can make is to the Dark Knight version of Two-Face. Both are equally great in their own right. Now, to the fourth but not quite final figure in the wave, I have the Riddler. As with the previous figures, here's a nice, slow, up and down look of the front and back. Since this is supposed to be a completely spandex outfit, the body buck is as simplistic as it gets, and the easiest to get the full range of articulated motion out of. As you can see, all of the question marks and stamped on quite nicely, but the inside of the arms and legs are a bit barren. For this head sculpt, though, I do kinda struggle a bit in seeing Jim Carrey's likeness here. Maybe it's just the paint or that some features are a bit too exaggerated, but it seems somewhat cartoonish compared to the others. For accessories, Riddler does include the display stand, trading card, some extra hands, the green bat bomb and the cane. I do like the look of the bomb, but since he doesn't have a hand that holds it very tightly, it'll be easy to lose. The cane is okay, but a much softer and more pliable plastic than I would have expected. It bends far too easily. For comparisons, I have the other movie version from the Batman, and the video game version based on the Arkham series. I do want to point out one little thing about the trading cards. The data files on the back all say the same thing, rather than there actually being separate bios for each character. I was kinda disappointed at that myself. With that said though, now let's look at the Nightmare Bat Collect 2 build figure. It's pretty big and nicely detailed. My sister says it's pretty terrifying to her. For those curious, the Nightmare Bat was actually supposed to have a larger role in the movie than what got released. There's actually a deleted scene where Bruce actually confronts the bat that used a huge animatronic bat to do so. I kinda wish that scene had made it into the final film now that we have this. The bat figure itself does have some limited articulation at the neckline and hinges. In what you might call the shoulder, joints do flap the wings up and down. Here, you can see Batman next to it, so it does scale pretty well with what's shown in that deleted scene. With all that said, now we can see the complete wave all together. I would say then my average score for the wave is a fairly solid 7 out of 10, but my favorite figure of the set is Robin. He would easily have earned an almost perfect 9 out of 10 for me by himself. As I said in the beginning, it is a bit crazy to me that we're getting these figures now, and it's even crazier than they've been some of the absolute best in recent years. I fully expect Robin to make my top 10 list at the end of this year, and if I do another one specifically for McFarlane, there's a good chance more of these end up in that type of list as well. So what do you guys think? Have you stumbled upon the wave yet? Do you want them all as well, or maybe just a couple? Which is your favorite of the 4? Let me know in the comments below.